I call the honourable member Ian McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Australia 9 for 1. Mr. Chair.
Relevancy.
Apologies, Mr. Chair. I'll get back on the topic. Mr. Chair, I wanted to briefly acknowledge, Mr. Chair, the Honourable Todd McClay for bringing this piece of legislation to the House, Mark Mitchell for steering it or picking up the reins and continuing to steer it through the House. I also wanted to acknowledge my new colleagues, Claudette Hauiti and Paul Foster-Bell, both who spoke very strongly on the law and order issue today. We've heard, Mr. Chair, tonight that Labor has no truck with gangs. We've heard that a number of times today. In fact, Chris Farfoy has picked up the phrase and used it quite effectively. I don't accept that, Mr. Chair. I think this bill, whilst it's not a panacea, and David Clendon made the point that it's not perfect. Well, of course it's not perfect. If we relied on perfection in everything we did in this country, we would have never done anything. I think, Mr. Chair, this bill goes a long way to giving the police some tools, as my colleagues have said, to take action when it's required. They won't take action on every occasion. They'll take action when it's necessary. And I think that's the really important thing about legislation. It gives people options and it gives the law the opportunity to act when it needs to. I also want to take to task a number of the statistics that Mr. Goff has used tonight, and he's talked about the change in numbers of police officers. I want to point out, Mr. Chair, that to deal with gangs we clearly need much better equipment than we've had in the past. This government, through some technology gains and some additional opportunities they've given the police, have picked up some 520,000 hours per year in police time. That, Mr. Chair, is 30 minutes per officer per shift. That is pretty significant. It puts any figures that Mr. Goff might try to use into perspective. And clearly the police are well equipped to deal with these types of issues. Mr. Chair, there is an inconvenient truth about the sense that this law won't alter the ability of police to make a difference. It certainly will. And I think that if we don't give them tools to take action when they need to make a difference, then we certainly are not serving our police officers well. I want to talk about the reason I think that this is a really important opportunity for us to change the way gangs behave in our communities. And I'll refer to the intimidation factor, which I think is really important for people. I think gangs certainly intimidate. They certainly intimidate government, council staff. They intimidate people in public areas. And I think that when they get in close proximity to staff in buildings, people who serve their communities and their country, then I think we need to consider that as we move on with this bill. So, Mr. Chair, I don't want to spend a lot more time on this bill. I think that it's done a great job, and I think that the people who promoted this bill thoroughly deserve it to go through Parliament and pass with flying colours. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I call the honourable member